What's going on, everybody? It's your man Cleveland Terry, and I know you see all of this gear here and you think I'm gonna do a review on this gear, and I will. I got a comparison video coming soon, but over the weekend some things happened that I kind of felt like we needed to talk about that one first. So we're gonna talk a little bit about mobile DJs and things that we should be doing and probably aren't doing, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about just 5 things that I have noticed over the past couple of months once we've gotten back into work mode. And then a lot of people are in work mode, some people aren't. I understand that. Here are 5 things that I think are going to be very, very important moving into 2022. Let's talk about it. Once again, my name is Cleveland Terry, and this is what we do. We talk about DJ related information, whether it be gear reviews or gig logs or tutorials. Everything we do happens here. So if this sounds like something that interests you, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification so you know when I post my latest videos. But today is focused on mobile DJs. So I said we're going to talk about 5 things, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's get right into it and talk about number 1. Organize your setup. Now, you guys know that a couple months after COVID hit, we hit a financial hurdle. We had to shut down our studio and we moved everything into a storage location. Now, this hasn't been an issue because, well, we haven't had a lot of work. But as we've moved on, every single month we've generated more and more work. And over the last few months, it's been insane the amount of work that we've picked up. Again, we're in California. I know this doesn't apply to every single place in the world, but in California, people want parties and they are booking. I have fortunately moved all of the stuff that I normally use into my garage, and the storage unit has stayed where it is. But the more work you get, the more people you need to have access to that storage unit, the more cumbersome it gets to get stuff out. So this was my storage unit just on Thursday. If you can see how it looks, everything was just kind of thrown in there. And basically after every party, we were grabbing things that we needed and just kind of remembering where everything was. This is a bad situation. This is a situation that creates stress, creates drama, creates the almost guaranteed situation that you're going to forget something or forgetting a piece of something, and because it's sitting under a whole bunch of gear. These are the little things that happen when you're just kind of living in a clutter. Your warehouse is cluttered, your mind is cluttered. You think you know where everything is, and then you send people off, then you realize, oh wait, they forgot a microphone. Oh wait, they forgot cables. We need to make this thing more efficient. So on Friday, I pulled everything out of storage, rebuilt all of the shelving that was just broken down and thrown away in pieces on the side, put all that stuff together, pulled out all the stuff, reorganized it, got it into a place where it makes sense, where we can find things. So working efficiently is so important. First thing you want to do is make sure you pull up all the things that you know you're going to use, pull them to the front of your storage unit or the front of your garage. Make sure that they're easily accessible, then you're not having to move 16 things to get the one thing every single time you go to do a gig. Probably one of the things that everybody faced when they started going back to work. They loaded up all their trucks, their vehicles, and then they look at the vehicle and they're like, I have no idea if everything that I need is in this thing because I'm just so not used to looking at my system anymore. If you got a piece of paper, if you got a phone with a task manager on there, especially with the reminders app, because you can place all the things on here with check marks, and then you can check off all the things that you know that you put into your system. And you can set that reminder to kick back in every single time. Maybe you have one when you put stuff in your truck, and you have another one when you put stuff back in your truck after the event to make sure you don't forget anything. Which leads to 2. And this one is going to hurt some people, but I think it's necessary. We need to start working more efficiently in 2022. We have probably spent a great deal of time building up our businesses. And when you build up your businesses, you're buying things here, you're buying things there, you're upgrading things here. And when you upgrade the things, you typically either, if you can't sell them or if you think you can't sell them because you need them, just in case, you end up putting that stuff to the back. And then you have all this random stuff that you'll never even use that's just sitting there. So we want to be more efficient in 2022. So that means you're going to have to get rid of some stuff that you've been holding on to just because. And I'm not talking about things that you haven't used over quarantine. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if there's stuff that you've never touched or you haven't touched in years and you have that, well, just in case, get rid of it. Sell it. Throw it on eBay, throw it on OfferUp, get it out of your studio because it's just creating clutter. You're never going to use that thing again. Get rid of it. No matter how much it costs. If you're like, damn, I paid so much for this and I never used it. Hey, take the lump and move on. Sell it to somebody else. Maybe they'll use it. But if you're not using it and it's sitting in your warehouse, it's doing two things. One, it's not being used. And two, it's just filling up your warehouse. It's filling up your garage where you could be using that space for something else that you actually do use. When we hit quarantine, a lot of people just threw their stuff to the side, but it might have been stuff that you needed to fix. It might have been stuff on its last leg. So we need to check all of our equipment. Make sure that all of our equipment works. Make sure that all the pieces are there, because I can't tell you how many times we thought that, oh yeah, video projection, we'll just grab our video projector, we'll grab all this, and you look in the bag and it's missing HDMI, it's missing adapters, it's missing all these little things that will burn you when you get to the event. So just check all of your systems, make sure that you have all the pieces for all the things that you use, make sure they're in working condition. Feel free to plug in your gear, make sure that it works properly. Sometimes when things sit for long periods of time, you go to use them, they don't work like they're supposed to. 2020 caused a lot of us to kind of rethink what it is that we do as DJs. And I think the same applies to your gear. It applies to everything that you're holding on to. Once we shut down the office and we moved everything to storage, we realized that we didn't need to even have the office. We could get away with using a storage unit. I have my office at my home now. I do all my phone calls in here. We have Zoom meetings and Google Meets and all those things. So I didn't need the office to have people come to the office to do the same job. So it's time to rethink what it is that we want our business to be. And I know it's kind of a hard situation to fix, but maybe some things that you had started to build on, maybe some things you had started to grow before quarantine, maybe those things aren't possible at the moment. Maybe those things were different back then. There's a lot of things that we were doing in the past that we're not going to do anymore. You know, one, maybe they caused too much drama on the front end, or two, maybe they weren't really making money for us. Maybe they weren't profitable or as profitable as I'd like them to be. So because of that, we've rethought a lot of things that we used to provide as a default. Oh yeah, you're expected to have this, so we're going to give that to you. I was concerned that, if we take this away, they're not going to want to book us because we're not providing the same things. That hasn't affected us at all. Everybody that was booking is still booking. When they say, do you guys still do this? No, we don't because of COVID. Oh, okay. That's fine. It happened. Now, I'm not saying that applies to every single thing, in every single company out there, but I do know what you think they think is usually different than what they actually think. So don't be afraid to change up what you do. Don't be afraid to streamline and to shrink down some things. And you might shrink down and not change your price. And that's okay too. Which leads me to number 5. This is probably the biggest thing out there, and I know it's gonna ruffle some feathers. It is absolutely okay for you to raise your rates. I said it. I know a lot of people, that's a big deal. But I'm telling you right now, we are not in the same situation we were before. Everything has gone up in price. Gas for transportation, service on your vehicles, just renting products. Everything has gone up. So if everything has gone up, why haven't your prices gone up?
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to raise their rates, okay? That's a personal decision. But I'm telling you that after I ran my numbers from where we were pre-COVID and where we are now, and I ran the profit margins because you're a business. Everything relies upon profit margins. If you're breaking even, that's not going to be a successful business. You have to be making more money. So once I looked at my profit margins, and everybody's different, but I think a nice baseline for most people would be profit margins of about 30%. That's pretty standard stuff there. I have DJs, MCs, dancers, photo booths, extra lighting, video projection, like all of those things that are built in there. And they all need to have a profit margin. So you need to look at what things cost and what you're paying out. And if what you're paying out exceeds the 30% that you're charging for it, you need to raise your rates to at least hit that. I'm not trying to be greedy and say 50%, whatever. You charge what you want to charge. But the reality is 30% is a good number to look at because there's certain things profit margin wise that are just going to be higher. You know, maybe if you own that photo booth and then you rent that photo booth out and you charge $700 for the photo booth, but you only have to pay $200 to a person, well, that profit margin is high. That's a great business to be in. It's very important that you consider, because everything is going up, to raise your rates. I can guarantee you, everybody else around you has raised their rates. The venue has raised their rates.
It's not today's price.
The party coordinator has raised her rates.
It's not.
Everything is more money. So there's absolutely no reason that you have to be concerned. And I know this is a concern because it was my concern. If you raise your rates, people aren't going to book you because you're going to be too expensive. My argument is now, if you are a quality business, a quality DJ, then you're worth the higher rate. And maybe you're more than your competitor, but maybe you have more to offer than your competitor. Maybe your skill sets and the quality of your parties and the consistency of the quality of your parties is just better. And if that's the case, there's no reason that you need to be the same price as your competitor. I know that's hard to hear. Trust me, I get it. It is hard to hear for a lot of people, but you have to start reevaluating and setting a value to what you do. The one thing I'm not going to talk about, so if you put them in the chat, I'm not going to answer, and that is, how much do you charge? That's the one thing I won't talk about because everybody charges different and my rates are not your rates. So I don't want people getting to the habit of saying, well, if he charges this much, then I should. Not the same. I've been building this company for almost 15 years now. I was reading an Instagram post where somebody was talking about, should you raise your rates? And somebody said, I can't raise my rates. I can't get that much. I work 3 to 4 hours and I get a maximum of $400 for that gig. There's no way I could get $700, $800 for that gig. And I flat out said, you need to raise your rates. You just need to raise your rates. We are putting ourselves into a situation where a lot of clients know that they can kind of beat you down and you will accept it. Once people start saying no, once people start having minimums, because that's important here, minimum dollar values will change the way people book you. If you know for a fact that you need to make $500 on a gig, then that's your number. You have a minimum of $500. And that means if it's 1 hour, it's $500. If it's 2 hours, it's $500. That's your 2 hour minimum. After that, if you want to say, for 3 hours, it's $600 and for 4 hours, it's $700. That's fine. But having that minimum does two things. One, it tells people that you're not going to work for nothing, for a can of beer. And two, it already puts you at a higher price point because then they're going to say, well, if it's $500 for 2 hours, let's just pay the man $600 for 3 hours. Or let's pay the man or woman $700 for 4 hours. It's actually a better deal than 2 hours. Now you've made more money and you haven't even had to do anything differently. So you got to start thinking about these things for the future because people will take advantage of you if they know that they can. All right, guys, if you found what I said are useful, hit that like button. If you found what I said are really useful, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow me on the Instagrams and the Twitters. Get on my Discord because that's where we talk about all things Cleveland Terry. Guys, girls, always a pleasure. If I don't talk to you later, we'll talk soon. Peace.